The ultimatum and the unyielding flame. The night sky over Earth shimmered with an unnatural light, as if the heavens themselves had been pierced. Across every device, from handheld screens to towering billboards, a single transmission played, the same across every language. The voice was cold, calculated, and alien, dripping with authority. This is a declaration from the Eternals of the Galactic Dominion. You are observed. You are deemed unworthy. Submit to our order and live as vassals, or resist and be annihilated. The image that accompanied the voice was chilling. A towering alien figure, draped in shimmering black robes that seemed to absorb light, stood before an emblem of stars encased in a crystalline lattice. His name was Commander Nyros Kale, a harbinger of the Dominion, and his piercing, violet eyes conveyed only disdain for humanity. Behind him, a fleet of incomprehensibly vast starships loomed like silent predators, blocking out Earth's sky and sending ripples of fear through every heart. The ultimatum was clear. Earth had 7 days to submit. The world reacts. Panic gripped the planet. The Dominion's transmission was impossible to ignore. Governments scrambled to respond, citizens flooded streets in protest or prayer, and scientists worked frantically to understand the threat. Every analysis came to the same conclusion: humanity was outmatched. The Dominion's fleet was equipped with technology millennia ahead of Earth's, and their weapons could annihilate continents with ease. In the halls of the Global Unity Council, leaders from every nation argued. Should humanity kneel and survive as subjugated beings, or stand and risk extinction? The debate raged for hours until a voice cut through the noise, a voice neither political nor military. It was Dr. Erin Vale, a physicist who had spent her life researching the cosmic anomalies that hinted at advanced alien civilizations. She was young, passionate, and unshaken by fear. They think they know us, she said, her voice steady. But they don't. Humans are not just creatures of instinct. We are dreamers. Builders. Survivors. And we don't bow to fear. Her words resonated. The room fell silent as Erin continued. They see us as primitives, but they don't see what we're capable of. If we surrender now, we'll never get the chance to show them who we are. If we fight, even if we lose, they'll remember that we resisted. The first spark of resistance. Inspired by Erin's conviction, the council voted unanimously to resist the Dominion. The decision sent shockwaves across the planet. Some despaired at what seemed like certain doom, while others found a strange, defiant hope. Humanity, fractured by centuries of division, began to unite under a single cause: survival without submission. Erin was appointed to lead Project Obsidian, a desperate, all-hands effort to create something, anything, that could give humanity a fighting chance. Scientists, engineers, and strategists from around the world joined her, pooling their knowledge in secret underground facilities hidden from the Dominion scans. Meanwhile, military forces mobilized under the command of General Idris Kane, a war-hardened leader known for his unorthodox strategies. Kane understood that Earth's conventional weapons were useless against the Dominion, but he also knew that war wasn't always won with firepower. His plan was simple: fight smart, fight dirty, and never fight on their terms. A new discovery. As days passed, Erin's team made a startling breakthrough. By analyzing the faint traces of energy emitted by the Dominion's ships, they discovered a flaw, a minute but exploitable instability in the exotic crystals that powered their weapons. If harnessed, this knowledge could turn the Dominion's greatest strength into a vulnerability. To test their theory, a team of engineers led by Eli Barlow, a grizzled veteran of Earth's early space exploration days, cobbled together a prototype weapon from scavenged satellite parts and high-energy plasma technology. It was crude, untested, and likely to fail. But failure wasn't an option. The first strike. The prototype weapon was mounted on a repurposed lunar cargo shuttle, piloted by Captain Samara Ray, a former test pilot with nerves of steel. Her mission was simple but suicidal: target a Dominion scout ship that had descended into low orbit and deliver the first blow of humanity's resistance. As the world watched in tense anticipation, Samara's shuttle launched. The Dominion ship, sleek and imperious, began to detect her approach. Alarms blared as its defense systems activated, but Samara was ready. She maneuvered her craft with precision, dodging beams of destructive energy that could have vaporized entire cities. When she was within range, she fired. The weapon unleashed a concentrated burst of plasma, resonating with the crystalline core of the Dominion ship. The result was catastrophic, an explosion that shattered the scout ship into fragments, its once menacing form reduced to a fiery rain that illuminated Earth's night sky. Cheers erupted across the globe. For the first time, humanity had struck back. The Dominion's invincibility had been questioned. The message was clear: humanity would not kneel. Nyros Kale's fury. In the Dominion's flagship, Commander Nyros Kale seethed as he received the report of the scout ship's destruction. He had expected Earth to crumble at the mere sight of their fleet. Instead, these primitives had dared to fight back. They are defiant, Nyros snarled to his subordinates. But defiance without power is an illusion. Prepare the fleet. We will show them what it means to challenge the Dominion. As the Dominion prepared its response, Earth braced for the inevitable retaliation. But for the first time in its history, humanity stood united, not in fear, but in defiance. Aaron, Idris, and Samara knew the fight had only begun, but they also knew something the Dominion didn't: humanity's strength wasn't just in its technology. It was in its resilience, its creativity, and its refusal to surrender. The war for Earth had begun, and humanity was determined to make it unforgettable. The Empire strikes back. The silence after Earth's first strike was unnerving. For hours, the Dominion's fleet remained motionless, their ships hovering in low orbit like an oppressive shadow. Earth's leaders and scientists speculated: were they regrouping? Retaliating? Or perhaps they were finally taking humanity seriously? The answer came with devastating clarity. The wrath of the Dominion. At dawn, the sky erupted with fire. Massive beams of energy lanced down from the Dominion's warships, targeting Earth's infrastructure with surgical precision. Communications satellites were obliterated, power grids fried, and key military installations reduced to smoldering craters. Cities plunged into darkness, and chaos rippled through the population. Commander Nyros Kale's face appeared once more on every screen. His voice, sharp and cold, dripped with venom. You dare defy us? Then witness your folly. Earth will burn for its insolence. The Dominion strikes were ruthless and calculated, designed to cripple Earth's ability to organize a defense. But they underestimated humanity's tenacity. Underground resistance. In a fortified bunker deep beneath the Rockies, the Global Resistance Command convened. Dr. Aaron Vale stood before a holographic map of Earth, now littered with red markers indicating areas of Dominion strikes. Beside her, General Idris Kane and Captain Samara Ray debated their next move. They're trying to break us, Kane said, his voice grim but resolute. Cutting our power, communications, everything that keeps us connected. They think chaos will make us surrender, Aaron added, but they've only proven one thing: they fear us. From the bunker, Kane issued orders to resistance cells worldwide. These groups, made up of soldiers, hackers, engineers, and ordinary citizens, were Earth's last line of defense. Using encrypted networks and old-world technologies, they began to coordinate guerrilla-style operations against the Dominion. The shadows fight back. In the ruins of New York City, a small resistance cell led by Sergeant Talia Moore prepared for their first mission. Their target, a Dominion ground station erected in Central Park, serving as a relay for the fleet's orbital bombardments. The Dominion's arrogance was evident: the station was lightly guarded, with their forces confident that no human could pose a threat. Armed with scavenged weapons and makeshift explosives, Talia's team crept through the rubble, evading patrols of Dominion drones. The closer they got, the more they realized how alien the station truly was, glowing with pulsating energy, its spires humming in a frequency that made their teeth ache. Talia gave the signal, and the team moved swiftly. Hackers infiltrated the station's systems while engineers rigged the core with explosives. The Dominion guards, caught off guard by the attack, were eliminated with precision. Moments later, the station erupted in a blinding explosion that lit up the night sky. The message was clear: humanity wasn't just defending, it was striking back. A glimmer of hope. Meanwhile, in the hidden research facility codenamed Obsidian Nexus, Erin and her team made another breakthrough. By analyzing the Dominion's weaponized energy signatures, they discovered a way to create a temporary disruption field, a technology that could render the Dominion's ships vulnerable for short periods. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it was enough for General Kane. "If we can disable even one of their ships," he said, "we can turn their power against them." The plan was ambitious: use the disruption field to bring down one of the Dominion's smaller warships, board it, and commandeer its systems. Kane selected his team carefully, including Captain Samara Ray, who would pilot the stealth craft carrying the field generator. As the resistance worked tirelessly to prepare, whispers of Earth's defiance began to spread. Across the Dominion's empire, enslaved species who had long suffered under their rule watched in awe. Humanity's refusal to kneel sparked hope in the unlikeliest corners of the galaxy. Nyros Kale's miscalculation. Commander Nyros Kale, observing the growing resistance, was furious. He had underestimated these primitives. They weren't like the countless other species that had submitted to the Dominion's might. These humans fought with reckless abandon, their chaotic tactics confounding the Dominion's precision. "They are insects," Kale growled to his subordinates, his violet eyes blazing with anger. "And yet they sting. Crush them, burn them, annihilate them, but leave no doubt. Their spirit must be broken." But even as Kale ordered his forces to intensify their attacks, cracks began to form in the Dominion's confidence. Reports of human strikes on their ground stations, disruptions to their systems, and the destruction of their scout ship were spreading across their ranks. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion faced an enemy they didn't fully understand. The first capture. As Earth braced for the next wave of Dominion attacks, Kane's plan went into action. Samara's stealth craft, equipped with the disruption field, approached a Dominion frigate patrolling the edges of Earth's atmosphere. The frigate, larger than any human vessel but smaller than the Dominion's main warships, was their best chance at success. Samara's team activated the disruption field just as they came within range. The frigate's energy shields flickered, then collapsed. For the first time, a Dominion ship was vulnerable. Samara maneuvered the craft with surgical precision, evading enemy fire and docking with the frigate. The boarding team, led by Sergeant Talia Moore, stormed the ship. The Dominion soldiers inside, caught off guard by the audacity of the attack, were overwhelmed. For hours, the humans fought through the ship's labyrinthine corridors, until they finally reached the command center. Using their limited knowledge of Dominion systems, Erin's team remotely accessed the frigate's controls. With the ship now in their hands, the Resistance had scored its greatest victory yet. They had captured Dominion technology. A spark ignites. The capture of the frigate sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For the first time in living memory, a species had defied the Dominion and won. Enslaved civilizations, inspired by humanity's defiance, began to organize in secret. Resistance movements sprouted in the shadows of the Dominion's empire, their flames lit by Earth's example. On Earth, the Resistance prepared for what they knew would come next. The Dominion would not let this humiliation go unanswered. But for the first time, humanity had hope, not just for survival, but for something greater. As the captured frigate hovered over Earth, repurposed with human ingenuity, Erin gazed up at the night sky. "They wanted us to kneel," she said, her voice filled with quiet determination. "Now they'll see what happens when we rise. Rising from the ashes." The Dominion's retaliation had left Earth scarred. Entire cities were rubble, communication networks had been severed, and resources were stretched to their limits. Yet, in the face of devastation, something extraordinary began to emerge. Humanity didn't crumble, it adapted. Deep underground, in a vast hidden complex known as Ironheart Base, the stolen Dominion frigate loomed over a bustling hive of engineers, scientists, and strategists. The ship, now nicknamed Vanguard, represented more than just a trophy. It was humanity's first step toward evening the playing field. Unlocking the Dominion's secrets. Dr. Aaron Vale stood at the heart of Ironheart, overseeing a team of experts dissecting the alien frigate. Every panel, circuit, and fragment of alien crystal was studied with relentless focus. Among the team was Zen Lark, a rogue inventor with a knack for reverse engineering. Known for his eccentric methods, Zen had already uncovered a key insight: the Dominion systems relied on neural interfacing, allowing their ships to react with lightning speed to the pilot's thoughts. This tech, Zen muttered to Aaron, is like nothing we've seen before. But if we can crack it, we won't just fight like them, we'll outthink them. Days of grueling work culminated in a breakthrough. Using fragments of the Dominion's neural crystal technology, the team developed a prototype interface that could connect human pilots to the Vanguard. It was untested, dangerous, and likely to overload the brain of anyone who attempted to use it. General Idris Kane, pacing nearby, was less interested in the technology and more in what it could do. "Can we fly it?" he asked, his gravelly voice cutting through the room. Aaron nodded. "We can. But it's going to take a very brave pilot." The pilot of Vanguard. That pilot was Lena Corvus, a former fighter pilot who had earned a reputation for taking impossible risks. The neural interface was installed, and Lena volunteered to test it, despite the potential cost. As she sat in the Vanguard's command seat, wires and sensors connecting her to the ship, her heart raced. The moment the neural interface activated, Lena gasped as the Vanguard systems flooded her mind. It was overwhelming. She could feel the hum of its engines, the pulse of its energy core, and the vastness of space around it. For a moment it was as if she had become the ship itself. "It's alive," Lena whispered, her voice tinged with awe. The test was a success. Humanity now had a weapon that could challenge the Dominion in space, and Lena was ready to take the fight to them. The call to rebellion. As Earth prepared its next move, whispers of its defiance spread further across the galaxy. In a remote Dominion-controlled mining colony, a reptilian worker named Varric Thurn overheard rumors of the humans' victory. The stories were barely believable: a primitive species capturing a Dominion frigate? It was unheard of. But as Varric spread the news among his fellow workers, something began to stir. The miners, enslaved for generations, had never dared to dream of freedom. Now, inspired by Earth, they began to sabotage Dominion operations in small but meaningful ways: delayed shipments, sabotaged equipment, whispers of rebellion spreading through the ranks. These sparks of defiance didn't go unnoticed. The Dominion, long accustomed to unquestioning obedience, grew increasingly alarmed as reports of unrest multiplied across its territories. Operation Ashen Wings. Back on Earth, General Kane was finalizing a bold plan: Operation Ashen Wings. Using the Vanguard as the spearhead, humanity would strike at a Dominion supply convoy stationed near Earth's orbit. The convoy carried vital resources for the Dominion fleet, and crippling it would buy Earth time to regroup and strengthen its defenses. Lena, now fully attuned to the Vanguard, would lead the mission. Her co-pilot, Talia Moore, brought years of combat experience to the operation. Together, they would test the limits of Earth's newfound weapon against the Dominion. As the Vanguard launched into orbit, flanked by a fleet of modified human ships, Lena couldn't help but feel the weight of the mission. Every life on Earth depended on their success. The battle above. The Dominion convoy was massive, its ships bristling with weapons and defenses. As the Vanguard approached, Dominion sensors detected the human fleet and sounded the alarm. Fighters swarmed to intercept, their sleek, angular designs contrasting with Earth's rugged, repurposed crafts. Lena's neural connection to the vanguard allowed her to react with impossible speed. The ship moved like a shadow, dodging energy blasts and weaving through the chaos. Talia, manning the weapons, targeted the convoy's lead freighter, unleashing a barrage of plasma that tore through its hull. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Dominion fighters, relentless and disciplined, pressed their advantage. But humanity's unpredictability proved to be their greatest strength. The human pilots used unorthodox tactics, distracting the Dominion with false retreats, using the debris of destroyed ships as cover, and targeting weak points in the convoy's formation. As the lead freighter exploded in a fiery blaze, the remaining Dominion ships began to retreat. The vanguard pursued, delivering a final blow to the convoy's flagship before returning to Earth. Victory and consequences. The destruction of the convoy sent a clear message: Earth was no longer a passive target. Humanity was fighting back, and they were winning. On Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the victory spread. For the first time, people felt that survival was possible, not just through resistance, but through defiance. But the cost was steep. Dozens of human ships were lost, and Lena barely made it back to Ironheart Base. The neural interface, though effective, had pushed her mind and body to the brink. As she was carried from the cockpit, she whispered to Aaron, "We can do this. We can beat them." The galaxy watches. The Dominion's high command was in disarray. The humans had struck again, defying every expectation. Their actions were emboldening enslaved species across the galaxy. Small uprisings began to ignite on distant worlds, each one inspired by Earth's example. On a Dominion world far from Earth, a council of rebel leaders gathered in secret. Among them was Varric Thurn, whose defiance had earned him a place in the growing rebellion. "The humans are showing us the way," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "If they can stand against the Dominion, so can we." As Earth prepared for the inevitable retaliation, its actions had set something far greater in motion. Humanity's fight was no longer just for survival, it was the beginning of a galactic revolution. The spark of revolution. The Dominion's grip on the galaxy had long been considered unbreakable, its authority absolute. For centuries, entire civilizations lived under its shadow, their histories rewritten, their rebellions crushed, their spirits shattered. But now, in the wake of Earth's defiance, cracks began to form in the Dominion's iron rule. Across the stars, whispers of humanity's resistance turned into roars of rebellion. The galaxy watched with bated breath as the Dominion's most dangerous opponent was no longer a vast fleet or advanced technology, it was an idea. And ideas, once ignited, are impossible to extinguish. Unlikely alliances. In a hidden bunker beneath the jungles of Earth's last standing equatorial base, Dr. Aaron Vale stood before a holographic display, tracking the movements of Dominion patrols. But her focus wasn't on the warships, it was on the strange new signals emerging from beyond the known regions of space. One such signal had come from the Arcani, a nomadic species with luminous, translucent skin and an extraordinary ability to manipulate energy fields. The Arcani had lived in isolation for generations, their fleets wandering the galactic fringes to avoid the Dominion's wrath. But now, for the first time, they reached out to Earth. Aaron, accompanied by General Idris Kane and the Vanguard's pilot Lena Corvus, initiated contact through an encrypted subspace link. On the other end of the transmission stood Kavrek Sol, an elder of the Arcani, whose glowing form shimmered like liquid starlight. "We have watched your defiance," Kavrek said, his voice melodic yet firm. "You fight not just for your world, but for all who live under the Dominion's shadow. We wish to join you." The offer was met with cautious optimism. The Arcani brought with them advanced knowledge of energy manipulation, knowledge that could amplify Earth's new technologies. But trust was fragile. Humanity's leaders, wary of betrayal, hesitated. It was Lena who spoke up. "If we don't trust them, we've already lost. The Dominion thrives because it divides. We need to unite. Kavrek smiled, the faint glow of his face intensifying. Your courage is why we believe in you. Together, we can light a fire that will burn across the stars. The call to arms. As Earth solidified its alliance with the Arcani, more species began to reach out. The Torvans, a race of hulking, insect-like warriors known for their unmatched strength in ground combat, pledged their loyalty. The aliens, ethereal beings capable of reading the emotions of their enemies, offered their unique psychic abilities. Each species brought its own history of oppression, its own scars from the Dominion's relentless conquest. And now, inspired by Earth's defiance, they saw a chance to reclaim what had been taken from them. On a distant mining colony in the Zereth system, the rebellion took its first steps. Varric Thurn, the reptilian worker who had once dared to hope, led a coordinated uprising against the Dominion overseers. Armed with salvaged tools and stolen weapons, the miners overwhelmed their guards and seized control of the colony's resources. Varric's voice echoed across the galaxy in a broadcast that reached every corner of Dominion space. The Dominion is not invincible. Humanity has shown us that. Rise with us. Fight for your freedom. The message was a spark, and across the galaxy, it ignited flames of resistance. The Dominion's counterstrike. On the Dominion's capital world, Illustra, Commander Nyros Kale stood before the High Council, a gathering of the galaxy's most powerful and ancient beings. The council chamber was vast, its walls adorned with the symbols of countless conquered worlds. Kale's frustration was evident. This rebellion is spreading like a disease. Earth must be eradicated to set an example. The council, however, was divided. Some saw Earth's defiance as a minor nuisance, while others feared it was the beginning of something far greater. The council's leader, an imposing figure named Supreme Regent Alith Var, finally spoke. Earth has awakened the galaxy's spirit, Var said, her voice icy. Crush their alliances, isolate them, and show the galaxy that hope is a lie. Kale nodded, his expression grim. It will be done. The Dominion's fleet mobilized, its vast armada splitting into two missions, to strike Earth with unprecedented force and to hunt down its newfound allies. Across the galaxy, Dominion ships descended upon rebel strongholds, their weapons leaving trails of destruction. Operation Rising Flame. Back on Earth, the Resistance was preparing for its boldest operation yet. Dubbed Operation Rising Flame, the plan was to launch a coordinated strike against a Dominion communication hub located on a moon in the Tel Rio system. The hub controlled a network of subspace relays critical for the Dominion's fleet coordination. Erin and her team had discovered a weakness in the hub's energy core, a flaw that could be exploited to disable the entire network. The mission was high risk, requiring the Vanguard and a fleet of Arcani energy-shielded fighters to infiltrate Dominion space. Lena, now fully recovered, prepared to lead the assault. As she stood on the Vanguard's bridge, she addressed the crew. "We've fought for survival," she said, her voice steady. "But this mission isn't just about us. It's about sending a message to every enslaved world out there. We are not alone, and we will not stop fighting." The crew erupted in cheers, their determination palpable. The Battle of Tel Rios. The mission began under the cover of a solar eclipse, the human Arcani fleet slipping through Dominion patrols undetected. As they approached the moon, the hub's defenses activated, and a swarm of Dominion fighters descended upon them. Lena's connection to the Vanguard was seamless, the ship moving with an almost organic fluidity. The Arcani fighters, using their advanced energy manipulation, created barriers of light that deflected Dominion attacks. As the battle raged, Lena guided the Vanguard into the heart of the hub's defenses. Talia Moore, manning the ship's weapons, targeted the core with pinpoint precision. A massive explosion followed, sending shockwaves across the moon's surface. The communication network collapsed, plunging the Dominion fleet into disarray. The human Arcani fleet retreated, their mission a resounding success. The revolution grows. The destruction of the communication hub sent a ripple through the galaxy. For the first time, the Dominion's control was visibly shaken. Rebel forces across countless worlds seized the moment, launching coordinated strikes against weakened Dominion outposts. On Earth, celebrations were short-lived. The Dominion's retaliation was inevitable, and the Resistance knew their greatest challenges lay ahead. But for now, they had achieved something extraordinary. They had lit the spark of a galactic revolution. In the depths of Ironheart Base, Erin stared at the stars. "This isn't just about Earth anymore," she said softly. "This is about everyone who's ever lived under their shadow. We started this. And we'll see it through." The tides of unity. The Dominion's once unchallenged reign began to falter. Across the galaxy, whispers of defiance turned into coordinated actions, and the once muted cries of enslaved species roared into organized rebellion. From the farthest mining colonies to the capital worlds, Dominion forces were now facing an unprecedented challenge: resistance on every front. On Earth, the Resistance prepared for its next steps, but a new urgency loomed. The Dominion's retaliation would be devastating, and to withstand it, humanity needed allies, not just loosely coordinated rebellions but a united front of species determined to overthrow their shared oppressors. The gathering of allies. In a remote and hidden outpost known as Haven's Reach, Earth's leaders convened a historic summit with representatives from newly liberated species. The meeting was perilous. Dominion forces were scouring the galaxy, hunting down gatherings like this. But the stakes were too high to ignore. Dr. Erin Vale, now a central figure in Earth's resistance, stood before the assembled delegates. Beside her were Lena Corvus, the Vanguard's fearless pilot, and General Idris Kane, the military strategist who had turned Earth's desperation into defiance. The Arcani's glowing leader, Kavrek Sol, spoke first. "The Dominion thrives on division. If we are to challenge them, we must stand together as one." Varric Thurn, now the leader of the Goran rebellion, followed. His deep, gravelly voice carried a sense of urgency. "Unity is strength. The Dominion fears us because they see what we can accomplish together." The summit wasn't without tension. The Torvans, massive insect-like warriors, argued with the psychic aliens, while mistrust simmered between other species with long histories of Dominion manipulation. Yet, as the hours passed, common ground emerged, a shared desire for freedom. Erin stepped forward, her voice cutting through the discord. "The Dominion has divided us for centuries. They called us weak, isolated, primitive. But look at us now. We are here. We are together. And if we fight as one, we can do what no one thought possible, we can win." The room fell silent, then erupted in a wave of agreement. A pact was formed, a coalition that would become known as the Alliance of the Unyielding Flame. The Dominion strikes. The summit had barely concluded when the first alarms blared. A Dominion fleet had discovered Haven's Reach. Massive warships descended like falling stars, their weapons primed to obliterate the outpost. The Alliance leaders, scrambling for a plan, turned to General Kane. He quickly devised a desperate strategy. The newly allied fleets would cover the evacuation while the Vanguard led a daring counterstrike to buy time. As Dominion forces closed in, Lena Corvus once again took the helm of the Vanguard. This time, she wasn't alone. Arcani energy manipulation ships, Torvan combat frigates, and Goran strike vessels formed an unlikely but determined defensive line. The battle was fierce. The Dominion's superior firepower tore through the Alliance's makeshift fleet, but the rebels fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. Lena, using the Vanguard's neural interface, led the charge, weaving through Dominion ships and targeting their weak points. The combined efforts of the Alliance managed to hold off the Dominion long enough for the evacuation to succeed. As the last transport ships escaped into hyperspace, Lena guided the Vanguard into a daring maneuver, disabling a Dominion flagship before retreating to safety. A symbol of defiance. The Battle of Haven's Reach became a turning point. Though the Dominion had claimed the outpost, their failure to crush the Alliance outright sent shockwaves through their ranks. Across the galaxy, enslaved species took heart from the news. If a coalition of lesser beings could stand against the Dominion, perhaps freedom wasn't an impossible dream. On Earth, the captured Dominion frigate Vanguard became a symbol of resistance. Its image spread across propaganda broadcasts, its name whispered in hope by oppressed species. For the first time, the Dominion faced not just a physical enemy but a growing ideology, unity through defiance. The Alliance's first offensive. Buoyed by their success, the Alliance moved to strike back. Intelligence gathered during the battle revealed the location of a key Dominion resource hub in the Marin Nebula, a site critical to their fleet's operations. Destroying it would cripple their ability to launch large-scale assaults. General Kane and Aaron led the planning. The mission, codenamed Operation Starfall, would involve coordinated strikes from all allied species. The Arcani would disrupt the hub's energy fields, the Torvans would provide heavy firepower, and the Vanguard would lead a precision assault on the facility's command center. Lena, preparing for the mission, reflected on how far humanity had come. Just months ago, Earth had been a solitary world facing annihilation. Now, it was at the center of a growing rebellion. The Battle of Marin Nebula. The Marin Nebula was a stunning expanse of swirling colors and chaotic energy fields, a natural phenomenon that had long shielded the Dominion's resource hub from prying eyes. As the Alliance fleet emerged from hyperspace, the Dominion forces stationed there scrambled to respond. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The Arcani ships, glowing with energy, created dazzling barriers that deflected Dominion attacks. The Torvan frigates, lumbering but nearly indestructible, tore through Dominion formations with brute force. Goran strike teams infiltrated the hub's surface, disabling key systems with precision. Lena and the Vanguard played the most dangerous role. Using the ship's neural interface, she navigated the chaotic energy fields, dodging Dominion fire to reach the hub's central core. With Talia Moore guiding the weapons systems, they unleashed a devastating strike that shattered the core, triggering a chain reaction that consumed the entire facility. As the Alliance fleet retreated, the nebula lit up with a massive explosion, a beacon of rebellion visible across light years. A new era of resistance. The destruction of the Marin Nebula hub was a blow the Dominion couldn't ignore. For the first time in centuries, their resources were stretched thin, their fleets scattered, their confidence shaken. Back on Earth, Aaron addressed the Alliance leaders. This is just the beginning. The Dominion will come at us harder than ever, but they can't fight all of us. Together, we're more than a rebellion. We're a revolution. Across the galaxy, the Alliance's victory inspired new uprisings. Species that had long accepted Dominion rule began to rise, their cries of defiance echoing across the stars. The Dominion's hold on the galaxy was slipping, and humanity, once seen as primitive and insignificant, had become its greatest threat. Shadows of the Empire. The Dominion was faltering, but it was far from defeated. In the darkened halls of their capital world, Elistra, the High Council convened in secret. Their once proud dominion over the galaxy was unraveling, and the whispers of rebellion now echoed even within their own ranks. Commander Nyros Kale stood before the council, his violet eyes sharp with fury. "The Alliance is not a fleeting nuisance," he growled. "They are a threat to our very existence. We must respond with decisive force." Supreme Regent Alithvar, her crystalline visage shimmering with authority, raised a hand to silence him. "Force has failed," she said, her voice cold and deliberate. "Humanity's defiance has sown chaos, and chaos cannot be crushed with brute strength. We must dismantle them from within." The Dominion's shadow plan. The Dominion's new strategy was ruthless: infiltration, sabotage, and psychological warfare. Special operatives, trained in subterfuge, were dispatched to infiltrate Alliance strongholds. Their mission was to sow distrust among the newly united species, turning allies against one another. On Earth, the first signs of the Dominion's plan began to surface. Communications between Arcani and Torvan representatives grew strained as false reports of betrayal spread. Supplies meant for the resistance mysteriously vanished, leaving critical missions under-equipped. Dr. Aaron Vale, now a trusted leader in the Alliance, recognized the pattern. "They're not just attacking us with weapons," she said in a tense meeting with General Idris Kane and Lena Corvus. "They're trying to fracture us from the inside." The Phantom Fleet. In the shadowed depths of space, whispers began to circulate about a Dominion Phantom Fleet, an elite armada capable of striking without warning and vanishing before retaliation. Reports of sudden attacks on Alliance supply lines and liberated worlds left the coalition scrambling for answers. The Vanguard, Earth's symbol of resistance, was dispatched to investigate. Lena Corvus and her crew tracked the fleet's movements, piecing together clues from scattered transmissions. Their search led them to the Kalan Rift, a turbulent region of space where gravitational anomalies concealed entire fleets. As the Vanguard approached the rift, they discovered the truth: the Phantom Fleet wasn't just a myth. It was real, and its flagship, Obsidian Wraith, was captained by none other than Nyros Kale himself. A deadly encounter. The Vanguard sensors lit up as the Obsidian Wraith emerged from the rift, its sleek, dark hull shimmering with cloaking technology. Lena's neural connection to the ship hummed with tension as she prepared for what felt like an impossible battle. Kale's voice cut through their comms, dripping with contempt. "Earth's defiance is admirable but futile. You have no idea what you're truly up against." The battle was chaotic and brutal. The Phantom Fleet's advanced weaponry overwhelmed the Alliance escort ships, leaving the Vanguard isolated. But Lena, with her uncanny connection to the ship, maneuvered through the chaos with precision. Talia Moore targeted weak points in the Wraith's shields, exploiting the vulnerabilities Aaron's team had uncovered. Despite their best efforts, the Vanguard was outmatched. Just as Kale prepared to deliver the final blow, reinforcements arrived. Arcani energy ships, Torvan war frigates, and Goran strike teams emerged from hyperspace, turning the tide of battle. The Obsidian Wraith retreated into the rift, but not before Lena captured critical data from its systems, a fragment of a larger Dominion plan. Unveiling the shadows. Back at Ironheart Base, Aaron and her team decrypted the data stolen from the Wraith. What they uncovered was chilling. The Dominion had been building a weapon capable of rewriting the very fabric of rebellion, a cognition matrix, designed to erase free will and enforce loyalty at a biological level. The matrix was being constructed on Krythos Prime, a fortress world buried deep within Dominion space. If completed, it would be capable of subjugating entire species in an instant. "This isn't just about Earth anymore," Aaron said, her voice resolute. "If they activate this, the entire galaxy is lost." A desperate plan. The Alliance leaders convened to plan their next move. General Kane proposed a daring assault on Krythos Prime, but the risks were immense. The world was surrounded by the Dominion's most advanced defenses, and failure would mean certain annihilation. Varric Thurn, the Goran leader, stood. "We've come too far to hesitate now. If humanity has taught us anything, it's that even the impossible can be achieved." The plan was set. The Vanguard would lead a small strike force to infiltrate Krythos Prime, disable the planet's defenses, and destroy the Matrix before it could be activated. Every available resource was poured into the mission, and volunteers from every species stepped forward, knowing many would not return. The shadows close in. As the strike force prepared for their mission, Dominion operatives intensified their efforts. False intelligence planted within Alliance ranks led to a near-disastrous ambush on a critical supply convoy. Trust within the coalition was shaken, and tensions flared. Lena Corvus, sensing the growing unease, addressed the Alliance crew aboard the Vanguard. "We didn't come together because it was easy," she said. "We came together because we knew the stakes. The Dominion wants us to doubt each other, but we've proven that united, we can overcome anything. Don't let them break us." Her words rekindled the crew's resolve. Across the Alliance, messages of solidarity spread, countering the Dominion's attempts to fracture the rebellion. Toward the final battle. As the Vanguard and its fleet approached Krythos Prime, the atmosphere aboard the ship was tense but determined. Lena sat in the command seat, her neural connection to the Vanguard humming with energy. Aaron worked tirelessly in the engineering bay, fine-tuning the ship's systems for what would be their most dangerous mission yet. Meanwhile, on Krythos Prime, Nyros Kale prepared for the Alliance's arrival. The Matrix was nearly complete, and Kale was determined to see it activated. "They will come," he said, standing before the High Council's holograms. "And when they do, we will show them the true power of the Dominion." As the fleet emerged from hyperspace, Krythos Prime came into view, a fortress world surrounded by layers of defense platforms and Dominion warships. The Vanguard led the charge, its crew knowing that the fate of the galaxy now rested on their shoulders. The fall of the Dominion. The moment the Alliance fleet emerged from hyperspace above Krythos Prime, it was as if the entire galaxy held its breath. Krythos wasn't just a planet, it was a fortress, its surface bristling with defensive platforms and its skies thick with Dominion warships. At its heart, cloaked in layers of energy shields and towering spires, was the cognition matrix, the weapon that threatened to extinguish freedom across the stars. On the Vanguard, Lena Corvus gripped the neural interface, her mind already syncing with the ship's systems. Every sensor, every weapon, every thruster, it all became an extension of her thoughts. She could feel the pulse of the battle before it even began. "Eyes on the prize," General Idris Kane's voice crackled through the comms. "We get through those defenses, or we lose everything." The first wave. The battle erupted with terrifying ferocity. Dominion ships swarmed like locusts, their formations disciplined and ruthless. The Alliance fleet, a patchwork of human ingenuity and alien resilience, surged forward with unyielding determination. The Archani, glowing with energy, formed shimmering barriers to protect the fleet's flanks. Torvan frigates carved paths through the Dominion's lines with brute force, their cannons pounding relentlessly. Goran strike teams, riding sleek assault crafts, weaved through the chaos, targeting weak points in the Dominion's defenses. At the center of it all was the Vanguard, leading the charge. Lena's movements were a blur of instinct and precision, her ship dodging Dominion fire and striking with surgical accuracy. Beside her, Talia Moore unleashed a barrage of plasma blasts, disabling one Dominion destroyer after another. But the Dominion's defenses were vast, and for every ship they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. The fleet was holding, but barely. The ground infiltration. As the battle raged in orbit, a small infiltration team descended toward Krythos Prime's surface in stealth transports. Dr. Aaron Vale, wearing a hardened exosuit designed to withstand the planet's harsh conditions, led the team. Alongside her were Varric Thurn, the Goran warrior, and a group of elite operatives from the Elians and Torvans. Their mission was clear: disable the cognition matrix before it could be activated. The planet's surface was a labyrinth of towering spires, energy fields, and automated defenses. As they moved through the shadows, Dominion patrols scoured the area, their presence a constant reminder of the stakes. The team used every ounce of their combined skills, Elians reading enemy emotions to predict their movements, Torvans breaking through barricades with brute force, and Aaron hacking into Dominion systems to disable security. Finally, they reached the heart of the facility, the chamber housing the Matrix. The weapon itself was monstrous, a swirling vortex of crystalline energy suspended above a network of conduits. Its hum filled the air, a sound that seemed to resonate deep within their bones. Nyros Kale's last stand. As the infiltration team prepared to destroy the Matrix, alarms blared. Nyros Kale, having anticipated the move, descended into the chamber with an elite guard. His violet eyes burned with fury as he confronted the intruders. "You've come so far," Kale said, his voice calm but menacing. "But defiance without power is meaningless. Your rebellion ends here. The battle was brutal. The Dominion guards fought with precision, their movements synchronized through neural implants. Varric Thurn, roaring with determination, charged into the fray, his strength overpowering multiple enemies at once. The aliens used their telepathy to disrupt the guards' coordination, while Aaron worked frantically to plant explosives on the Matrix's core. Kale, wielding an energy blade, engaged Varric in a ferocious duel. The two clashed with such force that the chamber itself began to tremble. But even as Kale pressed his advantage, Varric's resilience and determination began to turn the tide. You don't understand us, Varric growled, blocking a strike aimed at his heart. You think we're weak because we've suffered. But suffering is what made us strong. The turning point. Above the planet, the Alliance fleet was faltering. Dominion reinforcements had arrived, and the battle seemed on the verge of collapse. But Lena, still piloting the Vanguard, refused to give up. General, we need to end this now, she said through gritted teeth. Give me control of the fleet's remaining resources. Kane hesitated for only a moment. It's yours. Don't waste it. Lena activated the Vanguard's core systems, channeling power into a desperate, last-ditch maneuver. Using the ship's neural interface, she coordinated the fleet's movements as if they were extensions of herself. The Alliance ships moved as one, executing complex formations that turned the Dominion's overwhelming numbers into chaos. In a daring move, the Vanguard unleashed its final weapon, a plasma lance charged with Arcane energy. The blast pierced through the Dominion's command ship, causing a chain reaction that left their fleet in disarray. The fall of the Matrix. On the surface, Aaron finally activated the explosives. As she and the team fled the chamber, the cognition matrix erupted in a blinding explosion. The facility collapsed around them, and the massive energy surge disrupted the Dominion's planetary defenses. Nairo's Kale, wounded but still defiant, staggered toward the wreckage. You think this changes anything? He spat. The Dominion will rise again. Aaron turned to face him, her expression resolute. Not if we have anything to say about it. As the Alliance fleet regrouped above, the destruction of the Matrix sent shockwaves through the Dominion's ranks. Across the galaxy, enslaved species rose up, their chains broken by the symbol of Earth's defiance. The Dominion's empire, long thought invincible, began to crumble.